Welcome back to Just Chattin', and this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own entertainment. So, for all you Audie fans, he is right here with us. As soon as I turned the camera on, he hopped into my lap and said, "Ooh, time for a photo bomb." So, quick Audie story for his fans. Yesterday, I cleaned his cat box. Now, I clean his cat box a lot, like change it and put new litter in it. Yes, I know. And I told him I did it, which I always do. It's like, "Audie, come see what I did for you." And usually he will come in, sniff his new fresh litter, walk around on it, curl up, lie down, and take a nap in the clean litter. So for some reason, yesterday he decided he wasn't going to do this. Maybe it occurred to him after all these years that this is his toilet and this is probably not the best place to sleep. But yeah, I'm starting to wonder if maybe I didn't actually just get the broken cat. But he is here with us today. Yes, do you want to say hi? Let me turn, okay. I was going to try to turn him around so you could see his little face, but he's not having any of it. All right, we're going to be back in a few minutes. Just take a quick look at the intro, and we will get started. So, the last time we spoke about Nutmeg in Paris, I left that video off saying that we would just wait, see what the feedback was, and follow up. Well, the feedback, or clapback, or backlash, depending on your point of view, was extreme. And everyone seems to be singing the same song. Nutmeg made a colossal fool of herself in Paris. People have commented on the fact that her outfit looked more like a Halloween prank than anything one ought to be wearing out in public. I agree. She was dragging that thing on the floor, even if it were the nicest outfit in the world, which it wasn't. It looked like something she stripped off the back of Muammar Gaddafi. Like, seriously. Still, she's dragging it on the floor, which tells you exactly how valuable she thinks it is. And she was criticized for walking into the venue with this Zoolander walk, which I found hysterically funny because I personally had noticed that weird Zoolander facial expression she was giving in all the photographs. Now, I remember this because it dates back to my generation, probably in the late 60s, early 70s. The runway fashion models started adopting this look of haughty disdain. There's a reason for that. And there was a reason for that back in those days that's no longer valid today. Back in those days when we didn't have access to all of the celebrities we have today because of social media and generally more media access available to more individuals, the promoters of fashion shows did not want the models smiling their big, sunny model smiles because they didn't want to take the emphasis away from the clothing and feature these models instead. So the models just adopted that model face, that Zoolander face. And it sort of became a thing. It sort of disappeared for a while. Women on the runway, men as well on the runway, we can't forget Zoolander was about a male model, were no longer striking those ridiculous facial expression poses. But Nutmeg apparently didn't get that memo, and she was strutting her stuff out there. She went to an event that was stacked with A-listers, and the runway models are some of the most beautiful women on the planet, and Nutmeg walked into the room as if she were the main event. I don't know what to say about that. I've said it before. The delusion is deep with this one. And I think she truly expected people were going to be fawning all over her and congratulating her. Well, her own media outlets, the people who run her press releases, have been. But I started taking a look at some of the other stories out there. So let's go right into the lead story, which is that it is asserted that she was paid $1 million for that appearance. Now, I first found this through one of Yahoo's outlets, and then I traced it back through Reality Tea back to Rob Shooter. So let me just quickly give you the original. This is a very short piece. It's less than 2 minutes. Exclusive. Meghan Markle cost $1 million at Paris Fashion Week. Front row never paid so well. Meghan Markle's surprise appearance at Balenciaga's Paris Fashion Week show came with a 7-figure price tag, insiders tell #ShooterScoop. It wasn't an invite, it was a transaction, says one fashion insider. Balenciaga wanted global attention and Meghan delivered. The Duchess of Sussex stunned in an ivory cape ensemble that had critics swooning and cameras flashing. But behind the glamour was a business deal worthy of Hollywood. Her team treated it like a movie premiere, reveals a source. Private jet, 5-star suite, glam squad, all part of the agreement. Balenciaga's new creative director, Pierpaolo Piccioli, is said to be building a more refined brand image, and Meghan was the perfect muse. She's modern royalty, and brands will pay for that aura, says a stylist. While her reps insist she was there to support a friend, industry whispers say Meghan has become one of fashion's highest paid guests. She's not walking the runway, laughs a source, but she's still the most expensive ticket in Paris. So, if we can trust the unnamed sources cited by Rob Shooter, then Nutmeg was handed $1 million for that appearance. Let me start by saying that Rob Shooter is someone who sort of slunk onto my radar a couple of months ago when I started seeing stories that were being picked up by some, but by no means all, the mass media outlets. And the stories that I was seeing were interesting. They had a different spin on them, but they were all very similar. In fact, sometimes large sections of them were word for word the same. So I started following them back, and I mentioned something about this a couple of weeks ago in a video, saying this is somebody I need to watch, this Rob Shooter guy, whoever he is. I did some digging. I can't find anything about him. I do know that some outlets, Yahoo News in particular, are very fond of quoting him. In the case of the article that I just read for you, that was the article that quoted him, and I believe that was the one he wrote himself. He was then quoted in Reality Tea. Reality Tea was then quoted in Yahoo Entertainment. So you see how this sort of blossoms outward. But I found a lot of these articles going back to the same source, a person I really can't dig up any information on, and certainly I can't dig up any information on his unnamed sources. I did find a couple of articles on his blog site that did make me wonder just how accurate his information is. But I will share that with you, which is about all I can do, along with the fact that major mainstream media outlets are quoting him, as you will see in the video notes. So you can make up your mind yourselves. I would say for me, Jury's not in yet. For all I know, this guy could be sitting, smoking a cigar in front of his laptop in suburban Topeka, making up stories out of whole cloth, posting them to a blog site, and they're getting picked up by the media. Well, if he is, that will be a very good laugh. All right, so let's take a look at some of the other stuff that has been coming out. When we start to deal with the response to Nutmeg's appearance, one of the things that people have been picking up on is when she was filmed, just suddenly bursting into giggles. It had been alleged that this is because a model on the runway stumbled. I have heard that repeated many times by people that I expect are in a position to know. In other words, major media outlets who had reporters on the spot. And they're all saying the same thing, that yes, Nutmeg did giggle when a model fell, or at least stumbled. I don't know if she actually just dive-bombed the runway, but there was an incident. Nutmeg then looks to her buddy Marcus Anderson as she is giggling, and his stone face expression shut her down immediately. And then she goes back to this rather uncomfortable expression as she refocuses on what's going on the runway. Do I have a problem believing this? No, I don't. We've seen this before. I'm sure we all remember that horrific episode at Trooping of the Colors, where a very elderly man, I don't know what his position was. I believe he was a retired soldier participating in the parade, fell off his horse, and we see Catherine, aghast, covering her mouth in shock. It's very clear from the expression on her face. Nutmeg covering her mouth because she's giggling. Again, very clear from the expression on her face. And even the sock puppet, not a man known for his empathy, was wincing visibly when that man fell. So, yeah, we know that when she sees somebody fall, oh, she loves it. She just laps that up like honey. And I got to tell you, I think that says more about her character than anything else she has done over the years. Because anyone who could take delight in someone else's public injury, oh, it's like there's a special place in hell for you, sweetheart.
You're going to burn in a very special level of hell. The special hell.
And as if this isn't all bad enough, she has to finish off the evening by taking a limousine tour of the neighborhood in which Diana lost her life. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. Nutmeg's team, of course, is saying that this was all about the British media, again, throwing the blame for Diana's death on the paparazzi, as if reporters, and picture this, because you have to in order to buy into that story, reporters, probably in sunglasses, sneaking in to Diana's car and cutting all the seatbelts, sneaking in to the driver's room, spiking his coffee, which I'm sure that's all it was, with alcohol until he was able to be driving at 2 times the legal limit, and maybe they cut the brake lines, which is why he was speeding. Like, what? We all know what happened to Diana. I think we all know that, yes, the paparazzi were following her. Paparazzi had been following her for years, for like more than a decade. And certainly and nobody likes to say this, but hey, I'm going to say it, because as far as I'm concerned, her daughter-in-law opened the door for it. If the press had been responsible for her death, then whose fault would that have been? Because Diana was the one who tipped off the press and made sure they always knew where she was going. She reveled in these car chases. This was her thing. Diana's brand was being chased by the press, and she loved it. It's been very well documented that whenever she felt she wasn't getting quite enough attention, she would make phone calls herself. It's not even like Nutmeg has her people do it for her. Diana, well, I guess Diana had more ambition than Nutmeg, because she would pick up the phone and actually go through the motions of pushing those buttons on her own. The problem with this is the more times people blame the media for Diana's death, the more pushback they are going to get, because we all know it's not true. And there is nothing that irritates people more than an innocent group of people, well, innocent of this anyway, being blamed for something they didn't do. The press did not kill Diana. The press and Diana had this love-hate relationship. It worked for both of them. Diana loved the attention. The press loved the headlines. Yeah, I think the furthest I would be willing to go on that score would be to say perhaps one of these adventures got out of hand. But the simple truth is, if Diana had not been in a car without a seatbelt, going over the speed limit with a driver who was intoxicated to twice the legal limit, it's very unlikely any of this would have happened. Sorry, it's just that simple. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that Nutmeg has done this to trigger Harry. I don't actually think that's it. I think she was in Paris, and I think because we all know she has been cosplaying Diana from the moment she met the sock puppet, that this was just one more way she could get her name and Diana's name together in the same headlines. Does she care that it's negative press? Absolutely not. This woman is, in my opinion, I've been saying this for years, she is suffering from histrionic personality disorder, meaning she doesn't care what kind of attention it is. Bad attention is just as valuable as positive attention. All she cares about is the attention. So, do I think it had anything to do with the sock puppet? No. I think if he did end up triggered, she's just going to look at that as a lucky little side benefit. I think it was all about getting her name in the press linked with Diana's name, because she is desperate for some kind of resurgence of her brand, because everybody knows it is tanking. And I would imagine after what could not have been a pleasant evening, because despite the fact that Nutmeg spent the evening at that fashion show smiling or doing her Zoolander face, she has to have known this was not the triumph she had been envisioning when she left the hotel room that evening. Not even close. She had to know that she had not come off as well as she thought she had. So, what did she need? Another little boost. And yeah, you're going to get that from Diana. whether Diana's willing to play along or not. But make no mistake about it. This was deliberate. This was intentional. Everything Nutmeg does is deliberate. It is intentional. There is a plan in mind. Now, the reason it doesn't look like it's very well planned out is because it's not a good plan. I'm not saying these are brilliant plans. Most of the time, these are crap plans. And if she wasn't such a dictator in high heels, then her staff might be willing to say, hey, excuse me, wait a minute, maybe you should rethink that. But she's bullied her staff into blind compliance. So she comes up with these crackpot ideas, and they're all like, oh, yes, yes, of course, that's a brilliant idea, because they know what's going to happen if they don't fall into line quickly. You know, sometimes you just get what you deserve in life, and I think that's what's happening to her, that the voices of reason that should be reeling her back from these public relations disasters, well, no. Why? Because they're too browbeaten to be willing to speak up. And who does she have to blame for that? So, what we have next on the agenda is Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet are getting another award tonight. Wonder how much this one cost them. Although we shouldn't have to worry, because apparently Nutmeg did make $1 million from the fashion show, and who knows? Maybe that's why she showed up at the fashion show, because she really needed that paycheck to buy the latest award. And this is an award for the mental health of children. Now, I came across, I have a lot of articles that I came across for this, but one in particular. So let me just very quickly read this to you because it's just a few seconds. And this is an excerpt from one of these articles. Despite the work they have undoubtedly done to highlight mental health issues, surely they are the wrong winner for this sort of award, he said. Both Meghan and Harry are estranged from their families and have launched deeply destructive attacks on the royal family for their personal and financial gain. Surely winners of such an award should be positive in approach. So that was the opinion of Richard Fitzwilliams, a royal correspondent / reporter, and I think it very neatly summed up what the backlash about these fake awards has been right along. It's not just a question of the fact that we know there are transactional elements to this. Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet are either paying cash money for the awards, and we've seen that, or the organizations are giving them awards in order to use their celebrity to increase the presence of the organization. It's all very, very transactional, but one does have to wonder about why they are being given such a high profile in the mental health awareness community, especially considering the fact that they are not exactly champions of mental health themselves. Nutmeg publicly said that she was so depressed she wanted to end it all and never got therapy for it. The Sock Puppet is, well, he's clearly got issues. He believes his wife can talk to seals. He believes his dead mother, who might not actually be dead, let's not lose sight of that, is actively involved in his life from beyond the grave. We are not talking about people who are wrapped too tight to begin with. And even while this whole new award is going on, and that is tonight, I believe it was yesterday, the Sock Puppet was lecturing on mental health at another engagement for an organization, I believe it is called, well, it's Movember, which would be November with an M, but I don't know if it's called Movember or Movember because the word move is in there. The word Ovember, as in November, is in there. No idea how to pronounce it. Don't really care. Just to be fair, don't really care. Because clearly, any organization that is going to have the sock puppet lecturing on mental health is not an organization I am ever going to be paying attention to. So you gotta wonder about this, because quite frankly, neither one of them, neither Nutmeg nor the sock puppet, is what anyone would call the picture of good mental health themselves. Why? But this is what they do, and I guess we will have the fallout from this newest award over the weekend. It's in New York. So I don't know. I'm personally taking bets on whether or not there's going to be another near catastrophic car chase in Manhattan, which, as we know, has bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is traffic in which a tortoise could outrun your car without even really trying. We'll have to see what comes out of it. But before we go, we do have to mention the fact that Harry has found himself a stalker, who is apparently a female member of his fan base. There's no reason to believe there's anything dangerous going on here. Other than the fact that their fan base can be a little freaky sometimes. But yes, I think we are probably going to see this tiny little molehill turned into a giant mountain with the sock puppet cringing in the back of the van, just in fear for his life because some woman managed to get a little too close to him a couple of times. I don't know. I guess he's no longer still playing war hero, is he? No. Well, I don't have a whole lot to say on that. I just find it amusing. All right, that's what I have for you today. We are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. I'm going to find something nice and lively for you, and I hope to see you all next time. In the meanwhile, have a terrific day.